Welcome to the Icebreakers podcast. I'm Matt Evers, sat alongside Frankie Seaman. It is the bonus episode, and we had a very, very, very special guest with us. Frankie?
Denise Welch. She is a living legend, a singer, an actress, a presenter, an author. She has been on Coronation Street, Hollyoaks, she won The Jungle, she won Big Brother. She's an actual superwoman.
And we were really honored that we were able to catch up with her earlier this week.
Okay, guys, so if you are watching us today at the Icebreakers podcast, you will notice that we are no longer in studio. We have a very special guest coming on today, and due to her incredibly busy schedule, because she's so popular, we have a quadruple threat today, actually. She is a singer, an actor, a presenter, an author, and accomplished across so many fields. We have seen her on TV for absolute decades. She is a living legend. It is Denise Welch. Hello.
Thank you.
Yay! Absolutely. Ice skating extraordinaire.
Sorry.
Well, I forgot to mention ice skating extraordinaire, but it's lovely to see you two back together again.
Oh my God. I miss our time. I mean, I think Matt and I see each other more in Los Angeles, don't we, Matt, than we do in the UK?
We do. You're now bi-coastal.
Bi-coastal, but I think it's testament to Matt that he's really very good friends with nearly everybody he's skated with. You know, so
I am. Yeah, I'm very lucky in that scenario.
Well, you are.
Not everybody lucks out. Do you know what I mean? And I think we spoke a little bit about this on the first episode of the podcast about, you know, I think some of the secret to my success with the show was being able to understand everybody's language. We all speak English. However, we all speak a different language when it comes to working together, when it comes to these intense situations like Dancing on Ice is. And I care so much about you as my partner when we were on the ice together that I think that's why I easily bond with people. And I kind of call myself a bit of a chameleon when it comes to that. So
well, I think
I'm very fortunate that
you certainly had your work cut out with me, because I was, you know, I wasn't the easiest person to control back in the day.
To say the least. But
you were legendary, Denise. You were legendary.
I had to fit lots.
Yeah, but I think
I was doing several jobs at the time as well, you know, obviously my normal jobs, but I also had to fit a little bit of partying in, if you remember Frankie and Matt. So I was not easy to deal with. But to be perfectly honest, you know, we hear all these stories about some people who, you know, on these different shows don't have the same relationship that I had with Matt. And I always say to people, oh, my God, you know, my memories of that show are I was terrified a lot of the time, but the fun we had will stay with me forever. And I think what a shame if you don't, you know, if you don't have that bond with your partner, because this thing people talk about, the bubble, you know, it always sounds a bit pretentious if you haven't been in the bubble of one of these shows, but literally your real life has to trail behind your Dancing on Ice life, you know, for a good few months. And obviously with Dancing on Ice, you have to start training months before. I do remember my punishment, Matt, when you told me that I could go out one night, and I did, and we turned up. I think we were at Slough Ice Rink, Frankie, the next morning, and so I turned up at Slough Ice Rink, and let me just say I was a bit worse for wear. So anyway, I Slough Ice Rink, I'm a bit worse for wear from the night before, which Matt had told me that I couldn't go out, and I sneakily did go out. So Matt said to me, I've got a fantastic hangover cure that all skaters do. He said, so what you do is you lie flat on the ice, put your hands like that and close your eyes and just lie still on the ice. I did, completely believing him. He picked up my legs and did a bloody headbanger with me. Honestly, I will never, ever forget that. And I wasn't very well behaved, but I was more well behaved after that, let me say.
Denise, my enduring memory of you is because you were this ball of energy and fun, and you would come in every day, and every day people were tired, they were aching, they were sore, they'd fallen, they got sore muscles, and every day we'd come in and Denise would be like, on it. Literally, you were on fire. You were so much fun, you were so much energy, you're so articulate anyway, so you could always find the funny in any situation, even if it meant pointing at people and laughing. Brilliant. But my enduring memory of you is you literally flashing your knickers every 2 minutes. Anybody that was getting on your nerves, you just flash your knickers and skate off. And I just thought it was the most brilliant comeback. Literally no words needed.
Flash my knickers, flash my bra. I also remember flashing at Christopher Dean once as well, somewhere when we were out. Oh my God, I was the absolute nightmare for those two. But we became firm friends. We had such a lovely bunch on that show. And I still, when I watch it now, because of course every year the standard goes up. I mean, we talk about this, Matt, that the year that Gaynor Faye won, which was incredible, the first ever. Now, what Gaynor did to win, people are doing on the first and second week. You know,
it's true.
Things like not holding on to your partner were weeks in my year in 2012, I think it was. Now you see Ryan Thomas doing a blooming spin on week one. It's unbelievable. I still think that I'm so grateful to have got to week 9. I mean, but that was the joy of the public vote, because let's be honest, I was never really, when I say not the judge's favorite, what I mean is my skating never really got lots of marks, but then the public had to really vote high for me to get through. So that was always such a buzz for me when we heard our names mentioned.
We've talked about this just on the last episode. We've just sort of touched on the fact that sometimes the person who gets the public vote isn't necessarily the best skater, because obviously the public always assume that the best skater is going to go through anyway, or the best skaters. And so sometimes when they see somebody like you, and I think you were 52, 53 when you did the show, I think sometimes when, especially the women that are watching the show, see somebody like you embracing a new challenge, I think sometimes they actually get behind you more because they understand how difficult.
Going back to what you were saying, as far as those Dancing on Ice days for you were really sort of a party era, and understanding that lifestyle coming out of Dancing on Ice wasn't maintainable. Do you think that your experience from the show, and maybe it was, I don't know what it was, but it's like when we left the show and fast forward a couple of months, you were different. Something happened in your life, and do you think that could have been something that you found within yourself of Dancing on Ice, or that experience?
Yeah, I think there was a whole host of things. And I think that I became aware that I couldn't maintain the lifestyle that I was. And also, I think getting through, because of what you said about the fact that obviously I wasn't the best skater, but as an older woman, still working, still showing people that I was doing Dancing on Ice, and I was holding down another couple of jobs at the time, and, being very, very busy. I think it just made me aware that I could lose all this if I wasn't careful. Of course, it coincided with the time as well that I met Lincoln. Mm-hmm. And Lincoln and I, it's no secret that my ex-husband and I had actually split up and agreed to separate. But of course, I had chosen not to inform the public of that. So when they heard that I was seeing Lincoln, it became the usual scandal that would seem to follow me around my life. Whereas in fact, it wasn't. And you knew that because we had the press on our, if you remember, and I was dealing with all that kind of stuff as well. But I think the whole combination of realizing that although I had some great times, what was happening because of my lifestyle and drinking and trying to sort of counteract my depressive episodes. And you were aware of that happening sometimes when, we did have a great time, but there were also some darker times for me and some incredibly anxious times during the time that we were together, because it was a long time. Mm-hmm. And I think the whole combination. And then Lincoln and I meeting, going through the storm, and it was a storm, publicly, in a press storm, and it was horrible, agreeing to get sober together. And now we've been sober 11 years. And it's the best thing that we ever did. Thank you. Thank you. It was the best thing that we ever did. And I think that when you become sober, it's not just Lincoln and I that benefit, it's the ripple effect of how everybody that loves you benefits. So every single person in my life, our 3 children that we have together, of course, but my sister, her kids, the ripple effect of everybody is affected. And my kids would not be flying high and living the lives that they are if I was still drinking. So
Wow.
that is a massive Lincoln and I, and now we're grandparents. I'm at my mum-in-law's now, and I'm going off to see our grandson Theo. So Lewis, Lincoln's son, my stepson, gave us a little grandson 11 months ago, and oh my God, life changing. Everyone says that when they become a nana, but it really is. So so I'm going off to do me nana hugs in a bit. So life is very,
amazing.
very, very, but so much better.
That's really nice to see, Denise. And obviously I skated with you on that show, but obviously I was skating alongside you. I wasn't skating with you. I didn't have that interpersonal relationship with you all the time. But what I do find extraordinary is I have been around other alcoholics and other people with addictions. And I often find that they can be very self-consumed and sort of very unaware of other people's feelings and what's going on around them. But what I remember about you when we did Dancing on Ice is you were very empathetic to other people. My partner at the time was going through a very tough time, and I know that you subsequently went on tour with Dave Vitti. I was skating with Dave Vitti at the time, and he was having a bit of a rough time, and I was very aware of that. Nobody else around us was, because we tried very hard to keep that quiet. And I remember you being this real source of power and kind of solace for him. And he told me, because I didn't tour with you guys, he toured with Nina Yulanova. Actually, he skated with Nina, but he told me that actually you were one of the people that really got him through that tour. So I think even though you were struggling with your own issues, and of course you were having a good time, but you were having your episodes, your ups and your downs, and struggling with your own demons, it's really a testament to you and your character that you were able to still reach out and help other people during that time.
Well, thank you for saying that. And in fact, I spoke to Dave Vitti only a few days ago. Yeah. So that was another friendship from that time. And of course, Dave's doing, fantastically now. Yeah. And I'm grateful for the people who stepped up for me. I've also had to learn over the last 11 years, with a bit of some therapy and some self-therapy, that it's about sort of forgiving yourself to a degree, even though I still have certain shame about certain things, but that's just something. But it's also reminding myself that every time I drank wasn't a dreadful thing, because sometimes when you're an alcoholic and you get sober, it's all the kind of the worst episodes that come back to you, the times that you think, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But there are other times, like some of them on the Dancing on Ice tour, where we really just had a brilliant time. Okay, I missed the finale once.
Can I please tell the viewers why? Well, not why, but like sort of what happened.
Go on.
So it had been, we did have a lot of fun on those tours, a lot of fun, and when you don't finish,
and it wasn't either.
It what?
It wasn't just me having the hangovers. There was quite a lot of party animals on that tour.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think I can't remember what city we were in, but we had been out multiple times in a row because, you finish the show at 10 o'clock at night. By the time you get out of the venue, it's almost 11. You still have all that buzz and all that energy that the audience has given you over the past 2.5 hours. And the last thing, at least for us at that point, the last thing that I wanted to do was go to bed. Times are changed. I'd go straight to bed now. But I can remember we had a very fun night out. Cut to the next day. It possibly was a 2-show day. And the finale of the evening show, as we're about to skate out, Denise looked at me and she went, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. So we get her off stage. And there's a lot of people backstage, right? Like from costume department, hair and makeup, and physio, Sharon Morrison, God bless her soul. She held that show together. Well, she still holds the show together, let me tell you that. And next thing I know, Denise is on the table in physio, hooked up to an EKG machine with like a glass of ice water, just dripping sweat. Like, and I'm like, oh my God, what happened?
Sharon was convinced this was an ER moment, and Matt came in and sympathetically took a photo of me, wired for sound.
Of course he did.
And he without me. Oh my God.
I mean, these are stories that your grandchildren are going to want to hear, because these are literally, I know you feel a lot of shame, but Denise, let me tell you, people who, myself included, who haven't struggled with addiction have shame in our lives. You know, we all have shame in our lives about things that we've done. But some of these things, you know, you have to look back on and say, I survived that. And actually, I enjoyed it and I embraced it. So I think accept that, because you are a brilliant testament to how you come out the other side.
If anyone comes to me and says they've been asked to do Dancing on Ice, Sally Dinover being one of the people, I said to her, absolutely embrace it, you know, because I was never scared of the falling down. But then again, I didn't have to do lots of skating without Matt. I was scared of the whole thing of going on television in front of millions of people. But I tell everybody who gets asked to do that show to absolutely do it. It's just a life-changing experience.
It really is. And I think, as you said, how you've applied you being sober has that ripple effect. I think your experience on Dancing on Ice has had a massive ripple effect. I mean, just think of, you know, what Frankie was just saying in regards to how she remembered you on that as well. And for me, you are the champion of champions, because how you changed your life coming outside of this show. I mean, you've won. You are such an inspiration to so many people, and it's really a success story that is kind of an unsung hero, because of even what's happened now with your children and with Lincoln and yourself. The success that you guys have created is just phenomenal.
I mean, if you remember, you know, Lincoln was a PR manager of Stringfellows when I met him, and sobriety, and he always wanted to paint but never had the. You know, his dad died when he was very young. So the family didn't have very much, and he had to go out to work to support everybody. So maybe those creative ambitions that his mum would have pursued with him weren't able to happen. So the fact that sobriety gave him that, and now as we speak, he's in Los Angeles for BAFTA LA, you know, working as, you know, as an artist. And so it's, And I think for that to be happening, it means that my kids can live their life without worrying about me, which would have just completely hampered any creative skills or ambitions that they had. So
and I think we can't go much further in this conversation without mentioning how talented your family is and how talented your sons are. An actor, a global superstar. I mean, you must be incredibly proud.
Well, Matt and I, in when was it, Matt? In August, went to see Matty at the Bowl in Hollywood, and although it's not the biggest venue they've played, it's the iconic Hollywood Bowl, and I just stood there with Matt. Well, we sat there and we kept looking at each other and then looking around at the crowd and looking around at who was there and everything, just thinking. And Matt would go, do you remember when they used to play in the garage and you used to shout, shut up, I've got to get up for work in the morning?
It's true. And that little bus that they had, that van that got stuck in the mud in the back paddock of your old cottage, and we were out there pushing it, trying to, because the boys couldn't afford anything.
They all pretty much lived and worked. Well, they, you know, bar sleeping, they all lived and ate at our house for years, you know. And I mean, anybody who thinks that the 75 might have happened quickly, you know, those boys started at 13 in my garage, you know what I mean? Matt was witness to all of that. So they deserve everything. Oh, Matt, I just thought of one more raucous night and the day after. You were at my house, because for the viewers, you know, you sometimes have to travel around, don't you, and go to where that person is to skate. So I was working in the north, come up to the north, and we were skating at Altrincham. And again, I think Nina was with us as well. Nina was with us. And gone to have, you know, she used to go, can we go and have some vodka in the village? And we went to have we had vodka in the village, and then we came back, and you were creating dance poses in the kitchen, and we were absolutely hammered. And then the next morning you woke me up, and I said, I feel I'd just gone to bed, and I said, what? And you said, we've got to swim with sharks in Liverpool. You've got to swim with sharks. And Loose Women had me swimming with sharks the next morning. And Matt came in and said, you've got to swim with sharks in Liverpool. And 2 hours later, I was in a shark in Chester Zoo.
I forgot about that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, I remember too, one of the many parties that ended up back in your kitchen. And this must have been after the tour or something, because we had those inline skates, the off ice, the pick skates.
And when we did Denise's charity show, we did the charity show for Denise, and we had all the inline skates.
Yeah.
Skates.
And you were practicing in the kitchen. And I remember coming in and I was like, oh my God, be really careful, because kitchen floors can be really slippery from all the oil and the grease from the cooker, right?
Yes.
Next thing I know, you try and do a turn and your legs went up in the air and just flat on your back, disappeared underneath the countertop. And I just was like, oh God, like we have a show to do on these, inline skates in however many days.
Well, remember you guys did, for those who don't know, every year, I've done it 22 years in a row now. I host a charity ball in Manchester for the Gem Appeal for people with genetic disorders. And one year we did Ice Fantasy, I think the theme was. And the hardcore of superstar skaters, you, Frankie, Sylvan, came up and skated my ball, and people still talk about that ball to this day, wondering how we created that incredible fantasy in an events venue. It was
and
was
I think
amazing.
we were like skating on carpet or something.
Yes.
I have two memories. Of that. One is the giant blister I got on the back of my heel. Never had a blister so big in my life. Could barely skate by the end of the night. Was doing everything on one leg and just pushing with the poorly foot. And the other memory is you had these amazing diamantes down your spine, Denise. I don't know who did that, but somebody put diamantes down your spine. It looks amazing.
I have no recollection of that. No.
You looked gorgeous from behind anyway. From behind you were like working it. It looked amazing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Amazing times. They really, really were. And, as I say, the fact that we're still best friends, is incredible. Who have you got your sights on for this year? Who have you got your sights on this year?
For a boyfriend or this series?
This series.
Yeah.
And for a boyfriend.
And for a boyfriend.
Oh, for a boyfriend, that ongoing saga.
We haven't seen the best of Matt's boyfriend yet, but I think we should do a VT of that at the end of the show for all the runners up.
As long as we can include button mushroom.
Button mushroom?
I think we're going to leave that there. I think we're going to leave it there. Well, Denise, thank you so much for your time. I love you to death. You are a part of this Dancing on Ice legacy that will live forever. And I think I'm so grateful for the time that I was able to have with you. And what was that, Frankie? You just made hearts.
You did hearts go up. Look at it. Oh my God. That's amazing. That's amazing.
She's got magic.
Oh my God.
Thank you for your time. I know you're super busy. I want to come see this play that you're doing, though. When does it open?
Me too.
There it is, The Gap. Me and Matthew Kelly. We play a couple who have been reunited after 50 years. And they go from, and then they take you back to the 60s when they went from Manchester down to London and into Soho. And it's funny and it's moving and it's terrifying, the thought of doing it. But we're having a great time. So I'll send you the dates. It's the 9th of Feb till the 9th of March.
And whereabouts is that, Denise?
That's the Mill Theatre in Manchester. And it's fantastic. Set in an mill and it's beautiful. So I'd love you to come if you can.
Can't
I
wait.
would love to.
Okay.
Thank you, my love.
Okay, guys.
So I'm going to...
Lots and lots of love.
What an amazing interview. Denise is just such an incredible woman.
Like I said, superwoman.
Now, we want to dive into your questions that you guys have DM'd us with, emailed us with, commented on the YouTube,
This is
commented
my
here.
favorite part.
Yeah. So we're just going to get into it because there's some great questions.
So just for the people at home, if you do want to get hold of us, as Matt was saying, we're on Instagram. You can DM, you can slide into our DMs. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We are on YouTube, TikTok, all of them.
Pretty much everything.
We're everywhere.
Even social media platforms that haven't even been invented yet. We're there. What they are, I don't know.
This is my favorite part of the show. I really like interacting with the fans. I live for this.
Absolutely. Okay, so the first question comes in from Spenny. How do those who skate in week 1 get chosen as opposed to skating in week 2?
I have to say, this is a bit of a mystery to me. So great question, Spenny. Thanks for that.
I kind of feel it's a puzzle piece with any of these reality shows. It's the same thing like with Jungle or with Strictly, how they put the cast together. And what happens is pretty much a couple of days before that first show, they'll make their decision of, okay, slow music, fast music, great skater, not so great skater, male, female, sort of across the board. And that's how they put the puzzle piece together on who skates who. It also can depend upon sometimes their profile. Like sometimes they'll keep the super high profile people's to the second episode to make sure that people tune in for them. So
it can even come down to the little details, like they don't want 2 girls in a red dress on the same week.
Exactly.
So you never know.
Yeah. And we never know until literally a couple of days before that first episode.
And sometimes those details can change. So you may have been cast to be wearing a red dress, and at the last minute, that doesn't work for you. It doesn't work in your routine. So all of a sudden, now you're in a blue one that clashes with somebody else. I have been bumped literally at the last minute. I was meant to be on show 1, and I was bumped to show 2, and I had no idea why.
Yeah, you never do.
No.
It's a big formula that happens upstairs.
Good question, that's been.
Great question. All right, the next question comes from Matthew K. It feels like they trained longer than what we said in episode 2 of this podcast, where they just have like 7 or 8 weeks.
I mean, they usually start around October, and they'll have approximately 30 hours if they can fit it into their schedule with a private skating coach. And that just teaches them the basics, how to stand up. And then after that, they will meet their professional, early November? Yeah, early November. Then they have all of November and the rest of December until the Christmas break. So you're looking at like seven weeks, yeah. And then 1 week after Christmas break comes back in January just to kind of regroup and get everything together and polish those final details. So yeah, in total, you're looking at like 7 or 8 weeks. And really that 1 week after they come back from the Christmas break is a monster, because you're doing press, you're doing dress rehearsals, and dress rehearsals sometimes are just literally standing on the ice so that the cameras will know whereabouts they can catch you and which are the highlights, at which points of your program that they should highlight you.
Yeah.
So that can be a bit of a monster too. Lighting, sound, there's a lot going on, and there's tech rehearsals.
And I think too, you have to keep in mind the training sessions are anywhere between 2 and 3 hours. And you can get a lot done in those 2 and 3 hours. Like when I was competing for the United States on a world and Olympic level, like we would never do more than 3.5 hours per day.
Oh, it comes down to muscle fatigue. It can get very dangerous at that point after you've been skating. Even if you feel, I'm not tired, your muscles can be so tired that they can start to give way on you. That's when we see injuries and silly accidents happen, especially with celebrities who've never skated before. And on top of that, you get a little bit brain dead. I mean, you see them glaze over and you're like, okay, enough's enough. We need a break. We need some food. Let's warm up. And start again.
And that question sort of came up with that interview with Denise that you just saw, in regards to, the level of skating from series 1 to what we see now. Like Gaynor Faye, who won series 1, looked like a beginner comparatively to what we have now.
She wouldn't have been able to compete in episode 1 almost compared to what we're seeing now.
And people question, well, it's the same amount of training time. And I think what it comes down to is the casting of the show. They don't care so much that people have skated previously, but also we now, as the professionals from that show, have learned the formula of how to teach these celebrities to get the best out of them in the shortest amount of time.
I mean, we have been skating for 40 years. We can't teach a celebrity 40 years worth of skating, but we can teach them what they need to know to get through week 1, week 2, and so on.
Yeah, fantastic question. Thank you, Matthew.
Okay, so next I have actually a comment from Carolyn D. No question here, but she said she loved episode 3. Lots of skating and heart emojis. We're loving you as well, Carolyn.
Thanks
you
for listening.
She said we're both looking fabulous. I like Carolyn.
You can come every week, Carolyn.
Matt is styling out the jet lag.
Oh, thank you.
I think you have a little fan there.
I've got some concealer on my, well, last week I had concealer underneath my eyes to hide those bags, but we're good now.
Thanks,
Energy's
Cowley.
back.
Energy is back. So I have another comment actually on that note from Andy E. And he says, at the Matt Evers, this is obviously a Twitter question, you were missed on Dancing on Ice on Sunday. Hope that you are doing well. And he sends you a big love heart.
Well, thank you, Andy. I am doing well. Thankfully, we've got the podcast now, so we are still feel involved with the show and obviously involved with you guys too. So thank you very much.
I've seen a lot of love coming your way. And I know a lot of people have missed you on the show this year. And I think it can be really tough that first year when you're not involved in the show can be really, really hard. So I'm glad that we're here and we're able to still feel that we can talk about it and work through it together.
Well, thank you. Thank you to Be Inspired Media, everybody behind the camera. Thank you to you fans and to Lakeside, to Quiz, to Police.
Are you doing an acceptance speech for your Oscar?
It's my It's my Emmys acceptance speech.
Speech.
You
might want to work on it.
I should.
We also have a little comment here from Dorte. I know that Dorte is actually a big Dancing on Ice fan. She has been for years. So this is really nice to hear from her. And sometimes we interact with these people online. We never actually get to, really meet them in real life. But I've actually met Dorte. She actually was at a couple of skating sessions that I did, many years ago. So it's really lovely to hear from her. She said, at Frankie Skate, that's me, at the Matt Evers, good to have you back, Matt. Not the same with you not on the ice, but glad you are reunited with Frankie. And hi to you all.
Hi, Dorothy.
Hey.
High five for that.
Loving your work, Dorothy. As you all know, we are sponsored by Lakeside Shopping Centre, the leading retail and leisure centre in Essex.
Just 35 minutes from London, free parking, and over 250 stores to discover.
And this week's episode was styled by Quiz.
And I'm styled by Police.
I need to call the fashion police because you look so hot. Psst.
Well, thank you guys for sending in all those questions and comments. We absolutely love to get you involved. And now this week, we want to know, who are your favorite pro skaters? Not celebrities, but the pros, because they are the backbone of Dancing on Ice.
Hit us up on our socials because we know you have thoughts.
Thank you guys for watching and for listening the Icebreakers podcast, and we will see you again on Monday. And make sure you guys are following us across all the social media platforms. On Instagram, we are at ice.breakers.pod. Facebook and TikTok is IcebreakersPod. YouTube is IcebreakersPod. And if you want to email us, it is officialicebreakerspod@gmail.com. And something very new, we now have a WhatsApp broadcast channel, which you can search us at IcebreakersPod. Produced by Be Inspired Media, the content and podcast agency.